Hi everyone, it's Pastor Wagner again, and this is my weekly video blog. Today I want to talk about one of my pet peeves, and that's what I call Greekifiers. You've probably heard preachers before, and they'll be preaching along from their King James Bible, and then they'll come to a word, and they'll say, now in the Greek, that word literally means thus and so. Well, that's kind of an issue. If you believe that you have an inspired, infallible, preserved Word of God in English, in the King James, and that is my position, as many of you know that have listened to this video blog before, and that will be the premise that I will go about this video blog with. So that's just going to be a given. The King James is the preserved Word of God in English. If you believe that, then what is the point of going back to the Greek and saying, well, that Greek word literally means this? Because don't you suppose that the King James translators, who were experts in Koine Greek and in Hebrew, so much so that they could read it and speak it just like their native tongue. I don't think any of the preachers today that go back and say, that Greek word literally means this, could even read Greek at all, right? They've taken it a couple years in seminary, maybe, and they profess to be some kind of an expert after that. I don't profess to be an expert in Spanish because I took 2 years of it in high school. Far from it. But they'll go back there, and what they're really doing is they're taking a translation of a Greek dictionary, which is called a lexicon, right? So Strong's or Thayer's or something like that. So they take a Greek to Hebrew lexicon, which is nothing more than a Greek dictionary, which some guy translated into English. And they say, well, that Greek word means this. For instance, they might say, we'll just pick a Greek word. I don't know, it's all Greek to me. Agapeo. Okay, they'll come along and they'll read in the King James, they'll say love, and they'll say, now in the Greek, that word is agapeo, and that literally means, and then they'll give you some other meaning besides love. Some expanded definition or something like that. But wouldn't you think that if the King James translators were experts in the language and they translated it faithfully, and this is the inspired Word of God, wouldn't you suppose that they knew what that Greek word means? And wouldn't you suppose that they would translate it as it literally is? So whenever you go back there and you say that Greek word literally means this, what you're really saying is the English translation, the King James, is not accurately translated on that word. Here's what it should have said. See, a lot of them they won't say that, but that's really what you mean. Because I think that Greek word literally means what it says. For instance, if I'm preaching along and I come to the word propitiation, and I say, no, in the Greek, that's the Greek word, whatever it is, and that Greek word literally means, you know what it means? It means propitiation. That's literally what it means. Because the King James translators translated it that way, right? If it didn't mean propitiation, they would have said it meant something else, right? So these are just some of my pet peeves that I have with this Greekifying stuff. And if you believe that you have an English Bible, and if you believe that it's a preserved Word of God, you don't need to go back to the Greek. Because after all you're doing is accepting a translation of some man like James Strong or some other man who wrote a Greek lexicon. You're taking his translation over God's translation. And you're saying that he knows what those Greek words mean better than God himself did, as he inspired and enabled the King James translators to translate his word into English. That's all I have to say about that. This will be a short video blog today. Thanks for listening.